late on a Friday night and this thing's broken. Alright, so you guys probably know since last time I let a customer take this guy out for one lap at Laguna Seca. We'll cut to that footage right now.
Ripping in the hatch! Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah, I think a few weekends later, I went for a drive myself, and when I came back, I noticed a big puddle on the floor of something, and I realized it was just by the smell and the color, it was coolant. So I knew at some point I had to check up on this guy, see what happened since that track day. So yeah, I'm already ahead of the game. I got the under tray off, and I kind of found something interesting. So at my house, in my home driveway, when I looked under the car, I could see like the coolant pull up right here and then drip down. What I couldn't see was that it looks like it started up here and rolled down. So yeah, some typical places on a 4A I've seen leak. There's that valve on the back of the head. You know what? This is it's pretty dark. Why don't we got an engine on the stand we can look at. Fortunately enough, we got this customer engine on the stand we can demonstrate with. So common areas that leak, this guy always leaks down there, and then it can even be confused for like a rear main seal leak. What I was really dreading, I don't know why, this corner of the head gasket, I see so many external leaks from right here go onto the bell housing. So I mean, that was probably my worst fear, so I wanted to confirm it today. Actually, one of my most favorite and invaluable tools, coolant system pressure tester from none other than the best place in the world, Harbor Freight Tools. This guy has never let me down, and I've had this for a long time, and right after I say it's gonna let me down tomorrow or maybe let me down right now, I got this pressure tester hooked up. So what you're gonna do is put the cooling system under a certain PSI amount of pressure, and if there's a leak, it should show up. They want you to put it at the radiator cap pressure. My Mishimoto says 19 lubs, about 19 pounds. Every car is going to be a little bit different. Every manufacturer is going to have a little bit of different spec. Typically what I go by, 1 or 2 pounds of pressure loss within 15 minutes. That should be okay. I'm losing pressure pretty fast on this guy. Typically at this point, I'll just walk around, use my flashlight, see if I can visibly see a coolant leak. Based on that guy, I kind of have an idea where to look. Oh, I guess spoiler alert, I put a rag under the leaking spot already, but yeah, let's lift up the car and check out where this is leaking from. Yeah, so one more thing I wanted to do today. My catch can hoses are old. I also wanted to vent this guy to atmosphere. After the Battle Garage 7A car, and then I have a customer GZE car. Tremendous amount of research on catch cans, plus you guys saw Chris Van's episode how he had his catch can vented to atmosphere. I saw something today that was kind of the last straw for me, so let's check it out. All right, so after some research, it looks like the biggest reason people vent to atmosphere is so that there is 0% chance of low-by vapor and crap getting inside the intake manifold. I didn't exactly know how much was gonna get in there, but yeah, it's hard to tell. You can see it's dirty in there. Be able to see there's actually solid oil buildup in there. So yeah, some of that blow-by vapor was still getting in there. I used my pocket screwdriver and it was able to scrape some of it out. So that was the last straw for me. When I built this engine, however many years ago, I meticulously cleaned out the inside of that intake manifold. So yeah, we're gonna vent to atmosphere. No more doo-doo getting inside my intake. Alright, so it's gonna be tough to tell, but right there, oh, just saw some coolant drop. Right there, where the black hard line connects into the back of the water pump, is leaking out of that gasket. Right there, where that black pipe connects to the water pump. Looks like that's where it's leaking from. On this customer engine we're building, it's that guy right here. So there's a gasket that goes in there. I know I don't have that gasket. In the past, I've used RTV to seal this pipe before, which is perfectly fine. A lot of modern cars are pretty much glued together with RTV. They're easier for the robots to glue everything together rather than have gaskets. So what are some pros and cons of like RTV, that thing versus gasket? RTV needs 24 hours to cure. I'd like to drive my car home today, so I'm not gonna wait 24 hours. If I was more patient, I could probably wait the 24 hours, or if I decided I just want to leave the car here. On some old school stuff like I work on, sometimes there's like pits and stuff in the metal where, you know, RTV may actually be a better choice if you don't have the gasket. Because if you put the gasket, if the pits are deep enough, you know, it still might not seal because there's a problem with the metal itself. That printed metal gasket that Toyota uses is really good because there's no cure time. You could pretty much put the bolts in and then go. The problem is majority of us don't have access to just like an off-the-shelf, you know, Toyota OEM gas, like weirdo gasket like that. And I highly do not recommend the paper ones because what'll happen is you'll put something on both sides of that paper, seal it up, and then it'll actually weep through the paper. So I absolutely do not recommend those aftermarket paper gaskets. What are we gonna do? Because I don't have that gasket. Well, I had an idea. All right, so I know I have a ton of these oil strainer 4AGE gaskets, and I know they look like that. Suspiciously similar, right? Let's go take a look. Ooh, pretty close, right? I saw some silicone, so I must have siliconed and gasketed, or silicone only last time. So I'm gonna painfully scrape off all the old silicone, see if this guy fits, tighten it up, bleed the cooling system, and yeah, let's see if this guy's gonna spend the weekend here. So let's see if this guy is gonna spend the weekend here, or we're gonna enjoy the weekend together. All right, so one of my favorite things to do, draining this coolant on an aftermarket aluminum radiator. They give you this stupid thing, whether you have a Mishimoto or a Koyo, you know, instead of like a regular drain petcock. I don't know how much it costs for manufacturing. I would gladly pay an extra $20 for my radiator to have either a drain petcock or, you know, this portion with a US thread so I could thread in like a proper drain petcock like every other OEM radiator. Instead, if you guys with a aluminum radiator probably know, it skeets out way farther than your drain pan and you make a big mess like this. Okay, so while that guy's draining, I'm going to lower the car a little bit more, set up my catch can. I still gotta buy a filter for that thing. It's a 3/8 like PCB type filter. We'll be back. Sounds like the coolant's done draining. Something interesting I wanted you guys to see. So I know for sure in my Skyline the old radiator was full of mud, probably because of lack of maintenance. Coolant is typically due every 2 years on an old school like this. I know like newer cars, they'll have like lifetime 100,000 mile coolant, but what fluid is really lifetime, right? So I know for sure I am way overdue on coolant for this. Something interesting I discovered. Let's take a look inside this guy. Yeah, I know it's a little tough to see, but between the fins you can see a little bit of that buildup or sediment. So yeah, I mean with my Skyline I'm fighting a old neglected cooling system that's still full of mud and crap after I manually flushed it out. You know, good lesson for you guys. Even if you don't think the coolant's bad like me, you know, the 2 years of flushing out the coolant flushes out whatever residual sediment or crap is, you know, built up in the cooling system. So yeah, don't be like me. Lesson learned. Maybe. We'll see on my next car. All right, got my fresh catch can plugged up. Put a new sight tube on this guy. This is just plastic tubing. I got a rubber vacuum cap for this guy. I prefer silicone caps because they hold up better. Rubber cup caps always crack. But my silicone cap was yellow and I was not gonna put a bright yellow cap right there. So probably gotta source some more black silicone cap assortment. I'm gonna get a 3/8 filter at some point. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna dump this out. You know, shh, don't tell anyone. We'll see how vent to atmosphere works out. Coolant sounds like it's done draining. So yeah, let's lift up the car and get to work. Alright, so another thing I don't like about aluminum radiators. So mine's a Mishimoto, check it out. So it's really supposed to be back cut to fit that O-ring. So you know the O-ring has a place to sit, but instead this is actually how it seals. I had a customer this week with a coil one. I forgot how the coil works, but you know it's the same dumb design with no drain petcock. So when you unscrew this guy, psh, it's getting late should be the theme of this channel. All right, so after a little bit of a struggle, we're ready to go back together. So why don't we do a little bit of a recap? Yeah, you can see I pulled these hard lines off. There's a bypass right there that I had to pull off the other end that connects to that smaller tube on the outlet on the back of the head. I got that oil strainer gasket on there and looks like it's going to work, so hooray. So luckily you can actually go from the back side and push it down, and you can actually clean it, the face of that thing from this side. So I'm gonna clean it, put those 2 bolts back on, put everything back together, fill the coolant, and hopefully we can go home before In-N-Out Burger closes. All right, fast forward because it's 12:17 a.m. and my dog was right there staring at me. I know he wants to go home, so let's take a look. All right, so another one of those tools I wish I had when I worked as a dealer tech. Vacuum refiller. So basically you put the cooling system under vacuum, open the valve, and then I got my bucket full of Toyota coolant, and it should vacuum out all the air and then put in all the coolant, and then no need for bleeding. For a fact, AW11 and also SW20 MR2, this absolutely will not work. You got to do it the painful way, but yeah, Corollas, this will work for sure. So basically, you're trying to suck this down, vacuum into the green, and then once this is in the green, I'll wait for a little bit. If it comes back up, you know you got a leak. Another thing I noticed, if I have a tough time where it's like right there, and it really doesn't want to go into vacuum, I probably have a leak. And this is doing like how many cars filling up with this thing. So yeah, this thing almost got to 25, way in the green. So I'm confident that our repair looks like it held. So yeah, with age, or in my case mistakes, comes wisdom. So I left the under tray off on purpose just in case there was a disaster, right? So anyway, that sums up our coolant leak repair. This guy really needs a good refresh. I built this engine like 2 jobs ago, so so it's been a long time, plus at least like 30 track days, autocross, how many daily drivings, 3 trips to SoCal, all in this engine. So yeah, this old girl, it's super, I've been blessed that she's been reliable, but definitely time for a refresh. So like timing belt, reseal, gaskets, blah, blah, blah. When will I have time for that? Who knows, maybe at 12:21 a.m. I'll have time. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate the support as always. Remember, like, subscribe. I got a Patreon below, so we can go look at and do more cool stuff like this. Next episode, my Skyline brakes still suck, and I might be buying a very expensive Skyline Secret. Who knows? If you can take a guess, leave a comment below. I'll shoot you a prize. Peace, next time. My 11 customer just by chance messaged me on the positioning of his T-belt on his cam gears, because that thing sits further back. I don't know if that's just because the old school HKS design or making the belt ride more rearward, but I made sure that the rear of the belt and the cam gear were both flush with each other. It wasn't gonna like fall off backwards the other way. But by fate, let's I wanted to see what mine looked like, and let's take a look. Yeah, good stuff, huh? So yeah, interesting. Mine rides a little more rearward too. You can see where like another belt previously was, or you know, this thing does have some like back and forth. But yes, I'm pretty sure that a piece of my hardware was rubbing against the belt, and yeah, good thing I checked instead of driving it home this weekend. Yeah, you can see all the buildup right there. It was probably this thing that broke in some hardware. All right, so I don't blame the company at all. This is totally my fault because I know what happened. I remember one time I put this cover back on, and that thing broke, and then my lazy ass, instead of, you know, buying another one, I just put this bolt in the insert back in. So totally not that company's fault, it's my fault. And then you know, you can't even see through this thing. No wonder I couldn't see, you know, that damage on the belt. So, you know, totally Total embarrassing oversight. But yeah, good times. Let's see what we're gonna do.